Welcome back to the Breaker Bros, and we're gonna do our instant reaction to the 16-10 loss to the Pats. So what's your, I guess, initial thoughts?
I think someone needs to remind Zach Taylor that week one games count. You know, maybe be ready to play. I don't know. It just seemed like a team that wasn't ready to play. I think they just expected to get handed the game. I don't know. Offense looked pathetic. Defense couldn't tackle. I mean, special teams fumbles. I mean, it's just trash performance all the way around. I mean, that's just not good enough. I mean, I'm just trying to think of a team that we could beat playing like that. So hopefully that's just an anomaly and not what the Bengals are now.
Yeah, no, the first half definitely felt more like preseason to where they started to kind of figure things out in the second half. But yeah,
Did
no,
they
it was
figure
just
it out?
well, yeah, but I think the two big things was those two fumbles. The one right on the 1 yard line, which pretty much was probably going to be a touchdown if he kept held on to it, and then that punt return. Because there was a moment where the defense, like right after the second half, where they had like 2 3-and-outs in a row. And I think on that first one, they punted the ball.
Yeah.
And we fumbled. But yeah, I mean, it was just, this is exactly how the Patriots were going to win if they were going to win, which is basically run on us, which, our run defense didn't look that great throughout the whole game. I mean,
there were tackles.
There was moments where
the game ended with a missed tackle. Instead of just tackling the guy,
yeah,
you try to strip it, he gets first down, game over. I mean, it's just like, I mean, I don't know. It's just hard to watch because I mean the thing that bothers me the most is that the offense just never looked dangerous ever.
Not until like the third quarter, really, because they were starting to move
dangerous. What's the longest play? 20 yards.
No, well, I mean passing play, yeah, I think so. Maybe I know Chase had a pretty good catch. It might have been 20 or 25 yards, but that was, I think, in the early in the fourth.
That Jamar probably shouldn't have played. That's not a good argument that he should be. That performance was not a good argument that you should be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. I mean,
well, yeah, no, I didn't think he started to look like Chase until the second half. I'm not sure.
Like Chase.
Well, no, they started to actually get him the ball more towards the second half, where they actually had.
So what? What was his average per catch before that 20-yard pass? It was like what, 5 yards per catch? It's not good. I mean, I don't know. Just did not look dangerous at all on offense.
Yeah, that was kind of another thing I noticed is I think we gave up 3 or 4 sacks, so it felt like the things that we probably
guys weren't getting open. Didn't it seem like Burrow had a little bit of time, but there was nobody to throw it to?
No, there was definitely times where he had plenty of time to throw it, but yeah, like for instance on that second 3-and-out early in the game, I think they had like a 3rd and short. And then for whatever reason, they had all these routes. There was like no short routes. It was weird. It was like 3rd and 2 or something like that, or maybe 3rd and 3. And like everyone was running deep. And it was like, what kind of play call is that? Like there was no short option routes, which it's like, that's what they should have done was like nickel and dime him until they, adjusted their defense and then beat him deep or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, you got to stay on the field as an offense, and as a defense, you got to get off the field. So, I mean, they did not do either of those things well. So many missed tackles. I mean, just it's I mean, it's not the worst week one performance we've seen. No,
it's definitely not the worst, but if it does feel like the last 3 or 4 years or whatever, ever since Zach Taylor has been the head coach, we start off slow. It's just, and you can just kind of see it in their play. And next week is going to be a huge test against the Chiefs, which
I know it's just like this is a team that this should have been a win, and You
I
play
mean,
like
really, it
crap,
came down to the
and
fumbles, and then
one of the easier games on your schedule, you lose, and then you
and
set
at
yourself
home.
back. And it's just like I mean, how are you going to get home field advantage in the playoffs if you give up games like this?
Well, I'm hoping maybe this is our the trap game. You know,
Trap game, week one, trap
yeah.
game. I don't know. They
well,
don't
yeah.
look ready. I mean, what do you think Pat Mahomes is going to do?
Yeah,
I know he's not going to miss all those passes that Jacoby Brissett missed. I mean, it's just, I mean, if they play like this next week, they are going to get just boat raced.
It was weird because in the first half, especially in the first quarter, it felt like our pass rush was actually getting to him, but for whatever reason, we would like lose contain or whatever, and he would either just run up the middle, or just somehow get off a pass really quickly, and their receivers were able to get enough space to get those first downs.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it was just it was just a sluggish game, and then it really just came down to those turnovers, and then it was in the fourth where I think Logan Wilson caused that fumble. And, like when they initially showed the replay, I was like, oh, that's ours, because towards the end of the play, when you watch it live, I think Pratt or whoever was on the ground had the ball. And I was like, well, we clearly had it at the end.
Yeah.
And then they start showing the replay and you could clearly see it fumble, but then they didn't show like the very end where you can kind of see them both have the ball. I was like, oh, okay. But then I was kind of confused. I don't know if they changed the rule because it felt like we lost that challenge, right?
Well, they said we won because there was a fumble. So there was a mistake because there was a fumble, and they said down by contact or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess you get a partial win on.
Well, you don't lose a timeout, which was key because I was so confused with why we didn't lose a timeout.
Lost, so who gives a crap?
Yeah, and I guess that was another thing at the end where I know it was 4th and 5, but I kind of wish they would have went for it. It's like the time where they should have kicked the field goal was at the first drive in the third quarter because they were kind of moving down the field, and then I felt like they should have kicked the field goal there, and then the time where at the very end of the game, or basically the last offensive possession, they get like a 4th and 5. Oh, that was another thing. But yeah, I wish they would just had the offense go back out there and try to convert 4th and 5, and then try to put the defense back on there.
Offense couldn't do anything. They were pretty non-threatening. I mean, 5 yards is a lot to ask. I mean, it felt like 5 yards on a play was big for them.
Yeah, but I would rather have the offense out there than the defense, especially at that point, because they were probably pretty gassed. I mean, they definitely picked it up a little bit in the second half, because like the third quarter, I felt like they were actually pretty dominant. And then, I think towards the fourth, especially towards the end, they got too cute with it where they were trying to strip it instead of just getting the tackle. But yeah, that was like consistently what was happening. I think on the very end, it was Cam Taylor-Britt that allowed that last first down. But I know there was like 2 or 3 plays where Dax Hill was like in the backfield, but he still allowed the running back.
Well, Dax Hill missed like 5 tackles.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4.
It was bad.
Yeah, if there's a way to switch him and get Bell in that position, closing in, like it would make way more sense than having Dax Hill
corner. So I mean, it's just I mean that was his play. They were missed. It's but that's the thing though. To me, I don't like to complain about the defense because we're supposed to have a good offense.
Yeah.
All the money's on the offensive side. They spent money on tackles. They spent money on quarterback. They're supposed to have elite wide receivers, and they didn't do anything on offense. They were pretty weak.
Yeah, I mean, that was another thing where Gesicki looked like he had that touchdown. That was the play before we had that other pass that should have been a touchdown that became a fumble. But yeah, it was just a sluggish game overall. And I mean, they got a lot. I feel like they need to tighten up, especially before they played the Chiefs.
Put it this way, the Patriots dominated the game. They started the game in the lead, and they held the lead the entire game, and there wasn't a single point in time watching that game where I thought, oh, the Bengals might win this.
No, I definitely had a few moments where I felt like we were starting to come back. Because, like, if Tanner Hudson doesn't fumble on the 1 yard line, it's 7-7 at that point in the game.
Yeah, but he did fumble.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, see, this is overreactionary, but I've just cut.
Well,
him.
I'm just saying you were saying that there
him.
was no point where you felt like they were gonna.
I mean, you can't play like that. Sorry, I would just cut Tanner Hudson. He's done. I mean, he did not play well, and that was a. I mean, like you're a tight end and you run with the ball over your head. It's stupid. I mean, you play like that. That's probably why. I don't know, man. I thought Eric All played well. I thought they ran the ball a lot better when he was in.
Oh yeah, he's.
I'd like to see
a
him
solid
more
blocker.
reps.
Like,
I would just cut Tanner Hudson. I'm done with him.
yeah, I mean, if it comes down to it, I'm sure he might be the odd person out at this point. It just sucks because
saying, though, you can't fumble that ball. That was terrible.
no, it 100% is horrible. Same thing with Charlie Jones. I mean, he doesn't fumble that ball. It's still, 13-7 at that point.
Yeah.
And we, at that point in the game, the offense was actually starting to move the ball a little bit. And it, like those fumbles were a pretty big deal, but it's just tough because you're right. You got to win these games. If they're expecting to get the number 1 seed, you got to beat the Patriots at home.
If you're gonna be who the Bengals think they are, who we think they are, this was a must. I mean, I won't say must win, but I mean,
I don't consider it a must win.
I mean, we've been doing this for a few years, and it's always the same.
It's a Zach Taylor thing. It's just like, I guess maybe that's the trade-off, right? Where maybe Marvin Lewis, when he was at his peak, it felt like when they had really good teams, they always started off hot, right? It was always, they would always fizzle out towards the end of the season.
I don't know, man.
And then Zach Taylor's like the opposite. It's like they always start off kind of rough, but then they start get going. And
I am not going to proclaim the genius of Zach Taylor over Marvin Lewis. I feel like if Marvin Lewis had this talent, we would have won a Super Bowl already.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
I just think they backed into getting Jamar Chase. You have like the talent this team has. I don't know, man. I think Marvin Lewis would do much better.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Because I feel like they wouldn't put too much towards the offense like they did. Because he's more of a defensive guy.
Yeah.
Marvin Lewis. So I feel like there was just certain aspects of this team would be a lot different if he were.
But it's like you watch like today's game, and it's almost like they don't understand how you win football games. You know what I mean? Like, it's a timed game. You got to hold the ball. You can't let the other team hold the ball the whole game. It's just like basics, right? Number one, you got to be able to stop somebody running the ball. You got to get off the field on 3rd down.
Well, I think
if your defense is struggling, you need to hold the ball on offense. You need to score points would be nice. I mean, it's just like, let's proclaim the genius. They scored 7 points. It's weak.
Yeah. It was not great. That's for sure.
Or put it another way. Are you surprised at what New England did in this game? Is there anything that they did that you're like, oh, I would have never expected New England to come out and try
I wasn't
to run the ball on
surprised
us?
with what they did, but I was surprised about how more technical sound they were versus how we were.
Yeah, they were better coached, right? Like, doesn't it feel like that other side had better coaching?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going off performance, of course, but it kind of goes back to what we were saying before. It's just whatever it is, and I get a sense maybe that's part of the reason why we start off kind of slow, is that the Bengals don't push the players as hard as maybe some other teams going into the season.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, like there was a noticeable difference in the second half as far as like intensity and whatever. But it was just leading into the fourth quarter, especially after that.
Yeah. So how many points did the Bengals scored in the second half?
Just 3. Or no. Wait, hold on. No, they scored 10. They scored all their points in the second half.
Oh, they scored all of them? Okay.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Yeah, because
touchdown.
It was in the third quarter. Zach Moss.
That's right. Yeah, Zach Moss run.
Yeah. But technically, there should have been a touchdown in the second quarter, but whatever.
Yeah, but you got to do it. You got to hold on to the ball.
I agree.
I mean, like you could put it another way. There's a reason why he was open, right?
Well, I think that's the problem with him is that he's kind of a one-trick pony, right? So like he runs routes really well, especially over the middle, and he can create somewhat of mismatches. But I can't remember if he fumbled before. Nah, I don't think he has. But yeah, I mean, if you're in the game just to catch passes, then you can't fumble.
It's one thing if you fumble a ball and you've got the ball tucked and you're running, and some dude just hits you and makes a play. But I mean, ball security, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's like when like an offensive lineman recovers a fumble and he starts running down towards the end zone. He feels like he's going to make it, and all of a sudden he gets caught by like 5 people at once. You know, it's just like you're going to get caught. You're a tight end. You know, someone's going to put a hit on you. You got to like secure the ball.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, was that Tanner Hudson or was that Leon Lett going into the end zone? It was pathetic.
Yeah, it was really nice all the way up until that point. I mean, that would have been like I think that would have been like a 20-yard touchdown. But yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. So 0-1, staring right down the barrel of, okay, we look like garbage. And going off of history, Bengals usually don't hit their stride until week 4, week 5. So now we got like this dumpster fire, and now we get to go and play the Chiefs.
Yeah, which it's like you definitely don't want to be 0-2, but damn,
staring right down the barrel of 0-2.
Yeah, because it's going to be in Kansas City, and it's
they
the
do
Chiefs.
not look ready, and they do not look dangerous. They just don't. Jamar Chase he looked just like a guy.
I think the first half he was meant to be kind of a decoy, and then they got him more involved in the game plan because they knew they had to at that point.
Yeah,
I think
but
they had every intention.
Like, don't we have to win football games at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, but I mean, his situation is just a little bit tricky.
How? That's the part I don't understand. Why is it so tricky? What's he's out there, so then why is he not ready?
Because he didn't have all the same training camp as other people.
Why?
Because he wanted a new contract because they wanted to offer him one. So he's negotiating.
Okay,
that's
so
one of the tactics.
I'm just saying, it's just like stupid.
Well, it's the Bengals and his fault. But I wouldn't really cast blame on them. It's just how NFL business is conducted nowadays.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, in order to get the money, don't you also have to be good?
Yeah, I like for me, I don't think he looked that bad because like when they actually tried to scheme him the ball, they got him the ball. It was just too late.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything.
He was converting first downs. I mean, I mean, it's up to the rest of the team to perform too. I mean, it just.
I don't know. Did he make anybody miss? I mean, to me, it was just he was catching like curls and like 5-yard plays. I mean, isn't that what like Zach Moss can do?
No, that was another thing, Matt. Zach Moss kept on dropping passes. I was like, damn, dude. That's the whole reason why we got into the 4th and 5. If he would have caught that first pass on the 3rd down, or on 2nd down, I should say, it would have been 3rd and 5, and maybe would have been working on the 1st down. because it was like, yeah, I mean, it's a bad game, and I guess at this point we can only hope that they get a lot of things addressed and look a lot more sharp. But that's the NFL. I know things can change drastically from week to week, and
Well, they need to.
well, of course, but I don't look at the Chiefs and think that they're like a perfect team either. I mean, yeah,
They played
maybe
a lot better than the Bengals did.
yeah, I guess. Mainly because the Ravens kept on allowing linebacker to guard a slot receiver, which I really hope they do against the Bengals.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, it's because it's like the same tune every year, and I feel like we kind of say the same things every year. It's like we got to start out hot. We want that number one seed, but we can't let this get us down too much because, like you said too, it's usually about week 4 where they really start to hit their stride. So, but I mean, yeah, it's going to be tough because it's like going into Kansas City with a little bit more pressure. But
Yeah.
I also think they like these type of games. So, yeah, I mean, they look not prepared, a little sluggish,
Sloppy.
like they get sloppy. Yeah, I mean, they got hit
And
in the
then,
mouth,
like, the
and
other thing,
hopefully this is a
like,
wake up call.
The other thing I question is, like, why were they blitzing so much at the beginning of the game? Like, you can't go straight up against New England and stop their run game.
I think the biggest thing, because I don't think they
aggressive.
were blitzing more than what they would normally do. I think there was times where it would make sense to blitz. I think the biggest thing, and took them forever to adjust until the second half, was there was times where they would get to him, like they would kind of like pin him in, like they would come out, do that thing. But then as he was getting pinned, he would just run up. So instead of just like keeping everyone in front of him, and like, because if you want him to run out of the pocket, make him go on the outside, because once he starts running lateral versus vertical, like you're gonna close the gap much quicker. Because like if he's running straight, like up the line, then he's gonna get the 3 or 4 yards he wants, right? But if he's got to run out, you know what I mean? You're making him run an extra 10 or 15 yards,
Right.
and then like it took him forever to figure that out. Because like I said, the first couple of drives, I was like, man, we're like beating them. But it was just like
only on the outside. They weren't beating them on the inside.
no, they were coming in, and it was almost because they were collapsing the pocket kind of quickly. It forced him just to kind of run instead of like trying to sit, and because that's usually how they get the sacks. Sometimes is that they feel like they have a little bit more time than what they do, and they're like looking down the field at the different options, and then someone gets them. And there were several times where. Yeah, it was just like Hendrickson kept on going on the outside, and it was like, man, if he would have just like went on the inside and just pushed the tackle that way and make him run the extra 10 or 15 yards, I guarantee you he wouldn't have had some of those scrambles that got him like into like manageable third downs or sometimes first downs, because he's really not that fast. So like once you get him start running lateral,
he looked like Lamar Jackson back there today.
no.
Yeah, I can't wait till we play Lamar with that defense. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, yeah, if they continue to play like this by week 4 or whatever, then yeah, that's the way it's going to be. But I mean, a lot can change.
They're going to give up like 60 to Lamar Jackson.
I don't think it's going to be I think there's things too when you're an NFL team, especially if there's parts of your game that the other team has an advantage on. It's going to take them a little while to adjust, because what they did eventually in the second half was they put Tuflele or however you say his name, like he started playing more like straight up against the center, and they had more like 5 defensive linemen versus like the 4, and that really slowed them down. And it was just like, if they would have just done that a little bit sooner in the game, I think that would have changed. It would have put a lot more pressure on the offense for sure, because they wouldn't have had some of those big runs that they got.
It would have put pressure on the offense if our offense could have ever approached to get a lead. Or I mean, it's just like that's the Bengals are built.
I guess what I'm saying is
they need a lead.
I agree. There was times that they played horrible, but they did show signs within this one game where they can kind of correct it. But I just felt like they did it way too late.
I know, but also that's that's going to be like New England's going to be like a 8-win team this year. That's not a good team.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So I mean, it'd be one thing like, it's one thing when the Browns make you look bad, but it's like, oh, the Browns are a playoff team. But like New England's not a playoff team. They're gonna win 8 games.
Yeah, no,
games.
that's.
I mean, they might win 9
I'm
'cause
hoping
they beat the Bengals, but I mean, they're not.
I think if anything, this would change my prediction to beating the Raiders now, because hopefully this wakes the Bengals up. Which
oh, okay, do we need to go back and like?
no, I mean, I just hopefully all I care about is trying to get the record somewhat close. So
yeah, but the way the schedule's set up, it gets tough towards the end.
Yeah, the middle is really the toughest. So it's like
it's just
weeks
like this was
8 through.
This was supposed to be easy win, and they bangled it up, man.
Yeah,
Just
no,
like
this is
self-inflicted wounds. Just, I mean, the whole Jamar Chase saga is just an example of just not being good at your job,
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's not my money. It's not. It's hard to say. It's like it's just the bad part about the NFL, the business side. Like I the way I see it, if this was like 15 years ago, or maybe even just 10 years, well, maybe a little bit long. Well, no, I would just say 15 years ago, Jamar Chase probably would be actually holding out and not actually be playing.
Yeah, but from my perspective, if he's going to play like that, he might as well be holding out.
Yeah, but I think they were just playing it cautious. I don't think it's because he sucks. I just think.
I think it's because he's not ready. I don't think.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's part of it.
Well,
and I'm sure it's going to take about a month or so.
Ready, then why is he out there?
Because it's Jamar Chase. Him being at his whatever you would consider this is still better than the majority of players out there.
Not this version.
I think so.
I don't know.
He's just a different breed.
Agreed, but not he was not ready. Not ready today. He looked like just a guy.
Yeah, and I would say the whole T. Higgins being hurt a lot, especially with.
I mean, you just see how important those guys are. Because I mean, Yoshibas, not good enough. And then, did anybody else? I mean, Trenton Irwin was Trenton Irwin, but like, did anybody else even catch a pass? Any receiver? Charlie Jones get a ball?
Yeah, I think he got a few catches, and then. Same thing with Yosevash, but yeah, no, I always had a sense that it was going to be the tight ends that were going to be featured a little bit more, because I felt like that's where more of the mismatches were going to be. Because even if Chase was going to start, knowing that Higgins was most likely not going to play, like your biggest mismatch is going to be somewhere on Gesicki or Eric All. But I feel like maybe that part of the game will be a little bit more established. Maybe week 3, week 4, as things start to gel a little bit more. And I think that's another big thing too, with Chase missing all of training camp and preseason, is that you don't have that live timing when you're actually going against competition.
Yeah,
but I feel like
I just don't buy we played together in college, we're good. It's like, no, you're not. You have to practice.
No, it definitely helps, but
practice.
But yeah, you have to practice. There's a reason why people
can't roll out of bed and
practice.
just be better than everybody else. I mean, it's like you have to put in the work.
Yeah, repetition.
And it's just it almost feels like the team has turned into like, like just believing that they're better than people without actually having to work at it.
I don't necessarily get a sense that, because like
I don't know. That's how I felt about it. I don't know. It's just like, week 1 doesn't matter. We'll be fine. It's like, yeah, it hasn't worked out for us that well. Last year was the example of what happens.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to say about this? Or
no, I think we're good, right? We've complained enough.
Well, no, I mean, there's not much else that we can say. They got punched in the mouth and didn't respond well, and looks sluggish, and all we can hope is that they wake up and play a lot better than next week and look a lot more sharp and execute a lot better. So it really just comes down to that. Did you want to do like a prediction show or just another live reaction?
I don't know. It's up to you. I could. I mean, we could do Friday again.
Yeah, no, I'm down for whatever. We just do the same thing. I couldn't remember if we did both of it at the end of the game, but as far as like prediction or live reaction and then prediction for the following week, but we can still split it up. That's fine.
Yeah, and we might have done that last. That might have been how we did it last year.
Well, let's just for now we'll just meet for Friday because for the prediction and then the Chiefs Bengals prediction and then live reaction Sunday.
Okay, sounds good.
Do they? What time do they play on Sunday? Because I feel like they might have a late game.
4:25.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I'll be good to meet. So let me know if you're still good.
I'm not going anywhere.
All right, cool. All right. Peace.